All right, and now we are going to be doing an interview with Finn, and this is brought to you by Coca-Cola, because that's what I'm drinking right now. Sue me, Coca-Cola. Really. But today's been great because there's a bit of a struggle for me to get here today, but I knew such a great show was awaiting me. And I've been looking forward to this a lot because I recently got to do an interview with another director, which a show you guys have all seen, Gene Fillets. And we're awaiting his new movie, Beneath. But he's, we're waiting for it. And also I've been working with Finn Hall, who also creates films, does poetry, has a group. Is it From a Blot from a Blue, correct?
That's
from
a blot.
And so I'm being surrounded by directors and filmmakers now, so it's kind of changing my writing, as it were. And I'm glad to have Finn here today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about film, and his creativity and how he does it. So I understand you have your group, and you probably got a lot of people checking it out and everything when you did it, because it's quite popular and very good. When did the filming start? Did you start having Zooms and think, well, maybe I should start making films of these, or start gathering all the artists of the world? Because your last movie has everybody in it.
Yeah. It started off, well, it's like everything started off during lockdown. And I think how this journey began for me, it was like April 2020. And as we know, that April is usually prompt, like what it's called, National Poetry Month prompt word. And there's a bunch of people in the Aberdeen, Scotland area said, oh, you want to come and do this? And let's write a poem a day to a prompt. And I said, yeah, let's do that. So I did that. And then when it was over, they says, what are we going to do now? And I went, I don't know. So I thought this idea, where if I wrote a verse and then got someone to write the next line from that, taking one word from that last line of my verse, sounds more complicated than it is, and use it in the first line of their verse. And then they wrote a verse, and I ended up getting 100 people to start with to do that. And this is where I met a lot of people, just through literally going on Zoom shows and finding Zoom shows and seeing people that I like and saying, okay, you want to do that? And then, do you want to come in my Zoom show? And do you want to write a line? Quite a few people in here have done it. I've written lines on the book, and the second book, which came out last year, and the third book, which I'm working on just now, all stuff like that. And people tell people, and people tell people. And then one of the people I met early on in Zoom was the fabulous Kathy Carson. And I wrote a poem. I found all my old poetry books. I hadn't written poetry up until about 2020, for about 15 years. I haven't written for a long, long time, and I'd never performed my poetry live anywhere up until 2019. But I found all my old books, and I put a few verses that I quite liked, and I put them online. And then I put something else online. I can't remember what it was. And she says, oh, she immediately wrote back. She doesn't write often, and she wrote back with a verse. And I thought, oh, that's good. That's a poem, not a verse. And she says, I'm going to make a film out of this. If I can get some people to write a poem about the struggles of writing a poem, the struggles of being a poet, whether it's real or not, whether it's people who have anxiety about writing, people who get anxious, who can't get past the first line. And I think it was about a dozen people, Richard was part of it as well, to write a poem and film themselves doing this poem. And I called it Poets in Therapy. And I got people where they could to sit in a chair as if they're, one of these, like an drugs thing or an alcoholic thing. And, it's like, my name's Finn and I'm a poet, that kind of thing. Pretend you're in a therapy session. And got people to write poems from that. And I got some astonishingly great work from that. And I just edited it together, put it together, and made the first film. And I thought, well, no, I made a film, and I thought, well, that was fun. That was good. Yeah. And then people hassled me to make another one. So I made another one. And then someone says, well, if you're going to do another one, let's make it a happy one, which was the last one, called A Celebration of Poets. The second one was A Desolation of Poets, because I woke up in the middle of the night. I never wake up with a poem in my head, but I just woke up with this. The collective noun for a bunch of poets is a desolation of poets. And I thought, well, that fits. And then I thought, fuck it, I'm going to make a movie with that. And that's what I did. I got people to write, a poem about being a desolate poet. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that last one, as you saw, was pretty full-length picture. It was like an hour and nearly 2 hours long or something like that. But it's hard work, but it's fun. It's fun doing it. The hardest part is getting people to hold their phones around the right way, quite frankly. Because most people naturally, when you phone, you hold it up and down. When you film, take a photograph. Just teach people to turn it sideways into landscape, because you can get more of that person, more of where you are, more of what you're doing. It's not important, but it's just easier to work with.
That's great. Also, your group, I noticed it really gets out there to a lot of people. So that was about the same time as doing the filmmaking, or did the group kind of come out of the blue?
Yeah, they all come. Most of it comes from Blot. Yeah, most of it comes from this massive group. I mean, I feel exceedingly honored that people come on. I ask people and they just go, yeah, I'll do it. Some people message me and say, oh, can I come on? I went, yeah, fine, pop in, I don't mind. And
pop in.
Yeah, pop in. And people do, and people come and people go, and people read one poem and then bugger off again. You never see them for the rest, forever and ever. And that's okay too. I mean, I have a collage I've made of people from the first year, and the photographs, you can't recognize half the people because there's so many people on it. And I started the second one too. And I've added the people that's been in the movies that's never came to museum show. So they're all blots, and people that's been in my live shows when I go do my live ones in Aberdeen. They're all part of the same family. They're all part of the same group. So
do any like really famous filmmakers ever influence you at times? Because I know since I've gotten to see Gene Fillets do his stuff and everything, and it's gotten all over there, with great movies I loved, and your films too as well. Any directors or people that made films inspire you ever? Because a lot of times I'll look at poetry and music, and I'm not trying to copy it by chance, but I'm like, wow, I would like to be like that, or that's kind of cool.
No. There's nothing. I mean, I like film. I love film, but there's nothing inspires. There's no one thing that sounds terrible. Not one thing inspires me. Everybody inspires me, and I like to take a bit out of everything and learn. And when I see some of the films clips that some people have made for my film, and I go, Jesus, they're really good. It's not just. And there's nothing wrong with just, I don't mean it's horrible. It's not just sitting in front of your camera and redoing your poem, or doing it outside and doing your poem. That's all perfect. Yeah. But, in some of them, and in Desolation of Poets, there's a poet called Kev Bamboo, and he did one, and he did a thing with special effects and everything in it. It's like, yeah, it's just astonishing stuff that people put in. And I thought, oh, they're in my film and they're doing that. But no, I don't have any inspiration, especially coming to the film and what to do, other than the people that put it in and just make me want to do more, but it's hard work. So I think I'm going to do something different this year and not do one like that,
That answer makes a lot of sense, because your work is very individualistic. Like the next scene, you never know what's coming. And I like that. Like I was seeing, I think a scene of Japan in part of it, or some country, maybe, I don't know if I was right, but it looks really futuristic and big buildings,
I was
water
Singapore.
shimmering.
Yeah, that was Singapore. That was Soviet Ang. Yeah.
I wanted to go there and just stay. I was just like, this could be my new city. So I like how your films show everybody a little piece of the world. Like, as for me, I got to do a scene, and me and my friend Pat chose the backyard, because he
Yeah.
plays music. And so
I try and
we're
encourage.
roommates, so I'm always doing poetry and music. He does his songs. So we chose the backyard as a setting and the fire pit because we thought, it'd be kind of cool. Come around the fire at dusk. We must get in touch. Da-da. And but it's just neat that everybody was able to create their own in it. And that's what makes your film special, I think.
Well, I do try encourage people when they can. I know they can't always, to get outside and do it. And sometimes it's not easy, because especially there was someone did a scene in the Desolation one about an old building that's been knocked down, and there was lots of traffic going by and things like that. But I was happy with that because it was natural. It was real, it just how it was. But I have a very short, I was telling people before you come here, next Wednesday, the 25th, I think it's Wednesday, is Burns Day, Robert Burns' birthday. And in Scotland, they often celebrate Burns Day with events and things like that. And I have got 10 people from around the world to read 4 lines, which is like, there's 5 verses, so whatever it is, 4 lines from Burns' poem, "A Man's a Man for A' That." And I've got them, where they can, to film it outside somewhere. And I've got some great locations, from an old asylum cemetery to Finland in the snow and a Tennessee creek. And so there's a couple of people inside, which is fine, but I've got them to go on location where they can. And it's only 2 minutes long, but I'm going to be putting that out next Wednesday on Facebook. So I finished editing it today, so that's going to be good. That's got Singapore and Canada and America and Scotland, Ireland, no, not Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Isle of Man, and England. So it's been creative people.
Well, I would love for the Literature Cafe Global to be one of the premier spots for that, because we're starting to celebrate a lot of new films coming. And not only do we do poetry and music and film and music, we have art, well, all genres really. So it's kind of coming together where it's very abstract these days. And I like that, because even in my own creativity, I find it to be abstract. But
I'll share that. I'll share that as well as my page. Share that on the Lit Calf next week as well, when it comes live. So, definitely. And it's ironic because the day after that, I'm going to a live event, which is it's called Not the Burns Day, Nae Burns, and you're not allowed to do any burns at this one, and it's in Scotland. So I love the irony of that too. So.
And I'd also like to promote, a blot from the blues, so that everybody can join. And make sure you drop that link too, because we want to get everybody kind of connected, because there's so many wonderful groups out there. And when I first started, I could never get a feature. I would do open mic shows. And as a poet once told me, which I was wet behind the ears at the time, and I didn't like hearing that, because I get up there the first time and read in 5 minutes, everything. It was a blur. It was a blur. And they were like, well, slow down, read a little slower. And then I got to co-host an event or host an event because they were out of town. And this has really been what happened with it. It all came together, and I'm more connected to a lot of people, a lot of artists and poets. And I hope it just grows, because I would like to interview everyone, Everyone really.
Interview everyone
But
a whole night.
I don't
think the
think I'm
hard,
Jimmy Fallon, but I'd like to interview a lot of people because I feel like when we connect to an artist and find out what they're all about, you learn more. And
yeah.
would you like to close this interview, Finn, with say a poem or anything like that? Because this man is a great poet.
Yeah, I'll do something, but I want to say something first. I told you I got to do an announcement. But
Okay.
I'm hoping at the moment my third collaboration joined up writing book 3, and it's called Threefall. This one's called, but it's like, as I said, I've got a different poem, right? A different person. They're not all poets writing a verse for my. It's one long poem, 3 books long. And it's fabulous. And quite a few people here have done it. And I'm halfway through this last one. It's going to be my last one because it's really, really hard connecting people like this. But I think he says there's going to do something even harder. For after that's finished, I want to do a joined up writing film where I want people to write a whole poem that follows on from the last line of the poem before, but I want them to film themselves on location doing it. I want them to make as good a film as they can. So it'll be a long, long project because, you know, it takes me 5 days between poets, they get a verse in. So 100 verses for 5 days, I think. It's a long haul. So it'll be longer for this film. I want to make a joined up writing film because the book's been quite successful. So that's my next plan. As well as I'm doing a book at the end of the year called something like 70 of the 70s. I haven't done it yet, where I've got people, poets of a certain age. I reached age 70 in September, and I am getting 70 poets aged 70 and over to write a poem about aging, and I'm going to publish a book on that as well, if I find a publisher, like, but or I'll do it myself through Amazon, who cares, as long as I get it out.
So you go through, and to get your books, how would we go about it? Go through Amazon or?
Well, my joined up writing books are both on Amazon.
Okay.
My own book, my own collection is available through Runcible Spoon Press, or you can get a Kindle version on Amazon, not the real book, but just look up my name and joined up writing. Marissa did it the other week. She got them the other week. So they're on Amazon.
Because I want to join the Finn Hall Book Club, man. I think it would just be a great way to spend my hours, because I love your poetry, I love your music and the films. They all kind of interweave, you know, and it's here, here, and here, and I like that.
Well, I do try to do that interweave. Yeah. Right. Okay, you want me to do something? I'm trying to find the one I wrote. I wrote one yesterday and I maybe haven't crossed it over yet. So now, all right, I'm going to do this one that I wrote a couple of days ago. First, and I debuted it on Kemlin's thing yesterday afternoon. Kemlin Butt's Between the Lines. And it's a poem for a change with me. I usually write stuff just out my head and imagination. And this one is actually about the Irish potato famine of the late 1700s, whatever it was. And I watched the archaeology program the other day, and just a short section about it was of some locals trying to find where the road was and find artifacts, and they found nothing. They found the road was nothing. And this is called Roads to Nowhere. In Gortamar, we starved to death. We clung to life. And Drachshel, such hard times. We sold our clothes. We lost our homes. We lost our children, lost their lives. Sir Robert Peel, Tory leader, Conservative leader, Chancellor too at the same time, heartless buffoon. Nothing new. Let's make new roads, said he. They don't want charity. I know their minds. They won't think that's kind. They need to work. They need to They need to bleed. They need to appreciate what we're doing for them. Don't worry if there's a road nearby. We'll build another. Jobs for the poor, jobs for the family, jobs for the good of all. Dig all day, scrape away, paid in pennies, paid in blood, mainland masters, Westminster bastards. The Whigs cared not, the landlord's gone, the poor just left alone, left to die, left to mourn, left to starve, left to their cashless devices, left the island. 1 million left, 1 million died, and millions others sat and cried. In Skibbereen and points west and south, empty tables, empty mouths, pointless roads where families told, where families suffered, where 400 miles was a buffer, as lords and ladies wined and dined. The problem was the awful bright. For 7 years, day and night, we ate alone. We died alone. But roads we made, but none remain, no clues within the soil, no remnants of our turgid toil. We had nothing, we came with nothing, we left nothing. Nothing, still nothing. Not enough to matter to the people that matter, because we built roads to nowhere. And today the people live nearby, unaware that the roads are there, unmarked, unassuming bits of land, centuries on, memories gone, memories past. The past is far away, not just yesterday. And underneath the bumps and grass, that's where it is, the past. There you go.
Beautiful. Awesome. I like the background you have there too. Very interesting.
The background, that's a pub called Spin. That's where I go once a week, once a month to do open mic. Yeah, it's a good spot.
Wow. Feel like you took us there by making the background.
And I'm in the background as well. If you see me just underneath the David Bowie poster, I'm there too.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I have a piece here that I'm going to read because all these filmmakers have been inspiring me. So I started writing poetry based on a filmmaking view. And I was thinking about how, we always get like Amber Alerts and things like that here. And you got to click on it on your phone. Otherwise, it just won't go away, Like, brown Toyota, license plate, whatever. And you're like, wow. And you'll be at work and you like say, click off the amber. You hope they find the person, of course. So I wrote this one. It's called Lost Locals. And my caption to myself was, this one gets dark. And I was trying to find a word for socio writer, one who writes about really terrible things, but it wouldn't be a sociopath writer. So I gave up on that. So. But another word for socio writer. Just took the pen and I heard that he's writing again. I remember the Cafe Coco days on the front porch and backstage, way back when he was reading Dear Mr. Author mixed with a beat. It described the traumas, the writing dramas, the possibility of needing security. Socio writer, dangerous truth. Hear menacing beats, laughter, strange twists of fate, duct tape, nightmare, surprises, suspense. Writer gets taken away as his work gets attention on finding lost locals, gets close to truth. On the film version, he is taken away by a mystery van, burlap sack, dummy inside. So you're gonna write about us. Killers, huh? You think you cornered the market on the crime noir. Well, you're wrong. We found you. What led up to it? Sees him in a crowd. It's him. Eyes move, connected. All eyes in the crowd to his. He's at the coffee place early. Got a notepad, got a pen. He's writing again. Maybe something he said done change things. I don't know, but we can't let this happen. Thank you. In other words, he doesn't get away with it in the film. Failure. It's really good to be around the filmmakers and the poets and the prose writers, because I feel like that can come out. Well, Finn, who else do we have that would like to read some poetry?
Okay, we've got three more people here. So we're going to
I would love to follow your lead on some of this and kind of bring some people in that you'd like to bring in.
Yeah. So you do it. Okay, please roll. Got my friend roll.